Hello everyone, this is Gene from NYC again, and I'm back with another video. It's actually another Mortal Kombat video, but this is a little bit different. It's not about the game, it's actually about the movie. Or at least the movie that will hopefully come out in 2 years. So, as you may or may not have heard, actor Joe Taslim, who's been in works such as The Raid and Warrior, has been cast to play Subzero in the, upcoming Mortal Kombat movie that's been in development hell since 2011. There's actually, unfortunately, not too much information about the film itself, other than that there's been, again, development issues. And if the film is made, the film is going to come out in March of 2021, from what I've been reading. But Joe Taslim has been tapped to play Subzero. I saw some people wondering online if it was, the Subzero we all know, or Noob Saibot, since he at one point went by Subzero. From what I can tell, from what I've read, it's Subzero, Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, now best buddies with Scorpion. Subzero, because, again, the original Subzero from the first MK1 game is known as Noob Saibot. I think they would have said he's playing Noob Saibot if he was indeed going to be cast as Noob, because nobody refers to Noob as Subzero anymore. So he's been cast as Subzero. From what I can tell, it's Subzero. We know that the guy who debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 and has been in the series since, and not Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot is the Subzero from MK1. The Subzero from MK2 is the one that we're all familiar with. So, here are my thoughts on the casting. I think looks-wise, it's good. He looks the part. I found a picture of the face model that was used to create the face for Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 11. He looks like that model. I found, again, pictures of unmasked Sub-Zero online, and I found a picture of Joe, and especially when Joe has the facial hair, he really does look like the older Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat 11. The only thing is that I think they're going to have to use a little makeup and a little movie magic to make him look a little more roughed up, a little more hardened, right? A little grittier, a little older. But again, that's not difficult. That's just a case of, again, movie magic, makeup, just to make him look more like a grizzled warrior, right? Because he's very handsome looking, but he's also very youthful looking, despite almost being almost 40 years old. He's about 38 from what I was reading. He has this very youthful face, which is not unexpected. But, again, Sub-Zero has this, older, gritty, hardened warrior look to him in Mortal Kombat 11, especially in his older appearance as compared to his younger appearance. So, again, I think just a little bit of movie magic, just a little bit of makeup, it'll make him look just fine. Now, what I'm wondering is, are they going to ask Joe to bulk up for the role? Because he is a martial artist, right? He's done judo. I think he was on the judo team for Indonesia back in the late 90s, from what I was reading. So there's that. So he's a trained martial artist, right? He's done action films, so no doubt he's also done some stunt work. So that's good. I'm just thinking about the body physically, because we all know Mortal Kombat has these unrealistic expectations. Let's be honest, most martial artists, right, do not become as buff as the Mortal Kombat characters. So I'm wondering if they're gonna make Joe, hit the gym and put on like 50 pounds of muscle, so that he can better fit the visual representation, right, of Sub-Zero, and have those, that thick upper body and those giant biceps and whatnot. I want my unrealistic expectations, damn it. No, I'm just joking. But I do wonder if they're gonna make him bulk up a bit, again, to better, fill out the role, right? Kind of like what they did for Chris Evans in Captain America, right? He really had to bulk up to play the role, especially since in Cap's case, he starts out very skinny and then he becomes, this big buff, athletic guy because of the super soldier serum. But that's an entirely different franchise. So just looking at him, I think that just visually, just looks wise, he looks like Sub-Zero, right? Again, maybe they'll make him bulk up for the body, but face, he's fine. He looks good. He looks like the character that he's supposed to be playing. Why can't Disney figure this out? But anyway, jokes aside, I think he's a good choice, at least based on his appearance. On his acting, I don't know. I haven't seen anything he's been in. I've never seen The Raid or Warrior, so I can't speak to his acting talent. From what I haven't heard anything bad about his acting talent. I think if he was a bad actor, everybody would be just going no, don't cast him. But they're not doing that. So I'm going to err. I'm going to assume, although you should never assume, right? But I'm going to assume that he's a fairly decent actor. So again, I have no issues with this casting. What I'm wondering is for the movie and how the character of Sub-Zero is going to be, right? Because in the 1995 film, Sub-Zero and Scorpion were just Shang's henchmen, right? And that wasn't a big deal at the time because in 1995 there'd only been 3 MK games that had been released. The lore wasn't nearly as thick as it is now. Sub-Zero and Scorpion weren't nearly as fleshed out or as important to the story as they are now. So them being Shang's henchmen, right? And of course, the Sub-Zero having that amazing fight with Liu Kang. I'll always remember that fight because Sub-Zero did this really cool. He basically, there's a certain point in the fight where he basically jumps into a reverse kip up, and the jumping back motion, he like throws his legs up and he kicks Liu right in the face. I always loved that move, and I always wanted to see it in the games, and sadly, at least within the regular continuity, it never happened. I was really hoping. It's like, of all the other things that was taken from the film, right? The whole Liu Kitana romance, the whole, use the element which brings life and all this other stuff. I was really hoping that kind of like backflip, reverse kip-up kick thing that he did would make it into the games, but sadly, it didn't. But anyway, right, that was 1995. That was then. This is now. The series has, the lore expanded. There's a reboot version out now, right? And Sub-Zero's role in both, has greatly expanded. He went from being in the shadow of his brother to now being the leader of the Lin Kuei, the clan the ninja clan, I should say, the ninja clan that once, had him marked for death because he refused to be cyberized, or at least that was the original storyline. I know in the new one he does get cyberized, but it eventually gets reversed. But he left because of his honor, and then he came back and he took over. So his role in the games and his individual character arc and character growth have expanded over the years. So I'm just hoping that whoever writes the story for him and who fleshes out his character does that right and gets that done appropriately, because Sub-Zero as a character, right, as a personality, he's actually a lot like Batman, interestingly enough. I remember when DC versus Mortal Kombat came out, and I still don't know who in the world asked for that game, but I remember when it came out, and I kept seeing ads that would pit Batman against Sub-Zero, and I'm like, why would these two face off? I don't understand. Now that I think about it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it. They actually, especially in MK11, I will give MK11 this much, as much as it's gone in a direction that I don't really like, and I really do have harsh criticisms for what they've done for the female designs, I will say that the intro dialogues, I think, are the best part of the game from what I've seen, and I think it really does flesh out the individual characters and their interactions and their relation to each other and all that stuff. And I think it's really helped the character of Sub-Zero, because he's never really talked much, right? He isn't like, say, Johnny Cage, who's always been a blabbermouth, right? You know, the Sub-Zero's, you know, very, very stern and taciturn, right? But as Cetrion, I think, says in one of her intros with him, she has some of the funniest ones, like the one where like Sub-Zero asks her, "Why should I pray to you?" And she says something to the effect of like, "Why does a bird flap its wings?" And Sub-Zero's like, I asked a simple question." He gets so upset. But seriously, getting back to the point, she notes, I think it's her, she notes that while Sub-Zero has this, you know, cold exterior, right? I think she says something to the effect of, he has cold hands but a warm heart. And that is very true to his character. He's very stern, very taciturn, very, you know, especially in MK11, right? They emphasize the fact that he is a stern teacher. He makes comments to Johnny, he makes comments to Cassie Cage and other, I guess, less disciplined characters about how they lack discipline. So they're definitely emphasizing the stern teacher aspect of him in that game. But also, he is actually a character of great compassion, right? He wants to save Frost, and that was even established back in the end of the original series, right, when Frost was introduced, right? He took her in, he trained her, he tried to train her arrogance and ego out of her, and even after, you know, she froze herself by stealing the dragon medallion, you know, he still tried to help her. But of course, you know, she takes all his efforts and, you know, twisted in her own mind as to be Sub-Zero's trying to hold her down or whatever it is. So there's that, right? So he's tried to help Frost even at great cost to himself. And then, of course, especially in MK11, right, they really emphasize the fact that he wants to save Noob Saibot, and if I remember correctly, in his ending in MK11, he actually does. He's able to redeem him and get his brother back. I can't necessarily say I agree with that, with that ending. This whole Noob Saibot being saved. Maybe just my own personal viewpoints. Like, not every soul can be saved, and I think Noob is one of those that can't. But whatever. Right, it plays to the point that Sub-Zero is very compassionate, and he wants to help those who are lost, in a sense, especially if they are close to him. Right, then there's, of course, other factors of his personality that have been there for years. For example, his strong sense of justice, his strong sense of honor, his mercy, his integrity. In fact, I remember all the way going back to Mortal Kombat 2, part of the lore between him and Scorpion was that Scorpion was actually spying on him in MK2 because he thought that he was the original Sub-Zero, that he was Noob Saibot. So initially Scorpion's like, hold up, didn't I just kill you? So he's watching him, right? He's spying on him. And then he sees, at some point in MK2, he sees Sub-Zero spare an opponent. And it's Sub-Zero showing mercy, right, that actually convinces Scorpion, wait, this cannot be the same guy. And it's from that point on, that's at least in the original timeline, that Scorpion made a vow to not harm Sub-Zero. Because he knew that was a different person. It wasn't Noob Saibot, who was known for being corrupt and merciless and whatnot. So I'm really hoping that however this storyline, however this movie goes, whether it sticks to the original storyline or whether it does the reboot, maybe it tries to blend both, I don't know, that they will I want them to get all the characters right, but Subzero is my favorite character in the game, so you've really got to get him right, movie. So, about the movie, the only thing, there hasn't been much info out about it. So, again, there was something a few years ago about the lead character being some original character who was a boxer or whatever, but I haven't read anything about that idea being kept. I'm hoping it's not. I've been hearing that they want to make it an R-rated movie, which would make sense. I would think that the special moves and the fatalities would look, a lot more graphic and impressive now, given the advances in special effects and movie magic and technology. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm glad that Mr. Taslim got the role. I mean, I'm not gonna hold my breath for this movie to come out, right? Because of the fact that, again, it's been in development hell since 2011, right? There's been stops and starts ever since then, right? So, for all we know, I could be making a video a few days later saying, hey, the project fell through. But all that being said, I do hope that the film does well. I hope it's made. First of all, I hope it's made. I hope it does well. I hope it's respectful to the source material and whatever bits and pieces they want to pull from the source material, because the series is over 20 years old. And that whatever characters they include, at least we now know for certain they will have Subzero. I would think you would also have to have Scorpion, because that's, his eternal rival, right? And you gotta have Noob Saibot because that's his brother, and Frost, I would think, right? All of these characters who are part of his individual story. But no one else, to my knowledge, has been mentioned yet to be in this film. So we'll see, what they do, and I hope that whatever characters that they introduce, that they will be true to the characters and to the story. But we will see what happens. We'll see what happens. So that's it for the video. Those are my thoughts on it. I am happy, Mr. Taslim, Joe Taslim. I'm never gonna get this man's name right. I'm sorry. He gets a thumbs up. He gets an A in my book. He is Subzero. And we'll see who gets cast next. So I will see you around. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.